Can you explain again why I shouldn't eat CAFO raised red beef?
No.
Just kidding.
No,
Just kidding. No.
Oh,
Please
it's,
don't go there. Please.
No, it's perfect.
I got a simple question about, like, what about all the other fruits? Berries, other latitude fruits,
Yeah, fruit's good.
all fruit.
Yep.
Okay,
With a few exceptions, which we'll come to later on.
okay.
But generally speaking, fruits are good. Most fruits are going to be fine.
And then as far as like what amounts, what time of day, all that, does that get a regimented thing, or can I eat whatever I want whenever I want if I'm eating beef?
Yeah, you're probably getting a little bit ahead
Oh,
since we haven't started yet. But I'll go ahead and answer the question. I hope everyone has a pen and paper, because I'm going to give you a complicated formula to tell you when and how much to eat, okay? Some of you already heard this, by the way, but I'm going to give it to you again. Eat when you're hungry. Stop when you're satisfied. Okay, repeat as necessary. That's it. I mean, the only other rules are, think about this. Again, for me, right, as I worked these things out for myself back before we had YouTube and Facebook and Google, and had to try to come up with these answers myself 30 years ago, what occurred to me was we're tropical animals, and so the question should be framed, if we lived in our natural environment, our natural habitat, what would we do, right? I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, those of you that were here then. We agreed that we're not likely to be wandering around the jungle at night. Anyone going to wander around the jungle at night? You got no light, no flashlight. You're going to wander around the jungle in the dark? Probably not. So that means that we're likely to settle in for the night when it starts to get dark. We're likely to stay there until it starts to get light. Does anybody think they want to be sleeping with a pile of food lying next to them? Does that sound like a good idea? Why might that not be such a great idea?
Attract animals.
You're going to be attracting animals and insects. Is that what you want when you're sleeping? Probably not. Okay? So, with all that information, when are you likely to start eating? When's the first time of the day you're likely to eat? Sometime after it's light out. Okay? When's the very last time you're likely to be eating it during the day?
Before it gets dark?
Just before it gets dark. After that, you're done. You don't want to have the food on you. You're not going to be running around looking for it. So ideally, we're eating when the sun's up. Okay? We're diurnal animals, which means we're made to be awake and active during the day and resting at night. Okay? Again, repeat for some of you, but if we lived here in the tropics, not in the building, as I do, but in the jungle, we'd be resting. If we had no power, right? We'd be resting 11, 12 hours a day at night, all night long. Because what else are we going to be doing? I mean, if you're not by yourself, you might find some other activities, but you're still resting most of that time. Okay? So, keep your meals. Now, there may be exceptions to this. There may be times where you've got a social event and you're eating later at night. But remember, it's the consistent choices that you make. Okay? So if once a year, you're 3 times a year you have dinner at 8 o'clock at night because that's what's going on, that's okay. If all the other days you're eating by 6 o'clock or so, which is ideal. Okay? So in terms of when, that's it. In terms of how much, the goal, one of my goals for you is that by the time you leave here, you're really able to tune into and trust the messages your body is sending you. You never need to calculate how much to eat. Think about the other 25 million species. Do you think any of them are doing that? Are any of them going to some online calculator and plugging in what they're eating to see if they're getting enough calories or not? What do you think? I'm guessing not. Okay? They're living in their bodies. And they're listening to the messages they're getting. And the same thing works really, really well for us. In fact, there's nothing that works better. There's no calculator that can do that for you. Because the sophisticated bioimpedance device we use says that based on my body type, size, and proportions, body composition, I should eat just short of 3,000 calories a day. That's what the calculations are going to tell you. Okay, if I did that, I'd be way overeating. You don't need to pay any attention to that. Okay, you're going to get much more efficient than that by the time you're done here.